Since Update 7.1 went live on both Xbox One and PS4 for PUBG, it's safe to say there's been a bit of controversy. I think it's funny that even the big PC players who usually don't care about consoles, usually don't even pay attention to what's going on in our version of the game, they've even noticed because it's just become this huge thing. And PUBG really hasn't shared what they plan to do to fix this and kind of instill some faith back with the player base. They did make a post on the forums just going over the fact that they're aware of it and they're going to take a look at the data to see what they can do. Their intention was not to have lobbies full of bots, but they did want to add them into the game. And now finally this weekend they actually gave us some more information and they brought us up to speed on some frequently asked questions about the bots. So what I thought I'd do is I'd go through the questions, read their responses, and then give you my opinion, and pretty much the opinion of a lot of players because I know I share the same feelings as many of you guys out there. But before we get started, make sure to like the video if you find it useful and subscribe to stay up to date on everything that I publish, and also follow me on Twitter at YTBoris15. But let's not waste any more time, let's get into these questions, and then we can start the discussion. Question number 1. Are you guys aware of the level of anger in the console community today towards the way bots were added to the game? And their response is, we are very, very, very aware. There's been an overwhelming amount of feedback on Reddit as well as on social media and in the community Discord. So they know our concerns, they hear them loud and clear, and I guarantee they're kind of blown away by all of the negative feedback that they've received. But if they didn't see it coming, I don't know what they expected because this was just a terrible decision overall. Adding bots without another way to play the game like we normally could is just dumb. On PC, when they finally get bots, yes, bots are going to be coming to PC, but when they get it, they're going to have a ranked mode, which doesn't include bots. So they have a way to avoid it if they want to, but on console, they did not give us that luxury at all. And what's worse is they just didn't even tell us about it before it happened. They just threw it in there with Season 7, and they didn't really mention it until the patch notes. And just right off the bat there, I thought that was shady, and you can tell that's why people are so mad. They bought the Season Pass thinking that this is another 12-week season where they can play PUBG normally, but then they throw bots in here and they force it upon us. And who knew that something new to the game would be screwed up just from the start? From the first implementation, it wouldn't work properly. That happens all the time in games and especially on PUBG, so how could they not expect that players would be angry with a careless decision like this? Second question is, how are you communicating with players? They said this is always hard as players are spread out over a lot of social networks, forums, Reddit, etc. We focus on the discussion in the official Discord so far, and they're summarizing it here on this official forum post. And I think more needs to be done. They just had a post saying one of their goals for 2020 was communication. They want to have more communication, kind of a window into the development of the game per se. And they just opened up PUBG US regional Twitter to kind of provide more information, and PUBG Europe is pretty active as well. Why hasn't this been addressed on Twitter? I have no idea because they're just getting blasted right now by just about everybody. Another question, why did you add bots? Bots were added as part of a long-term effort to support new players across all platforms. Any other creative conspiracy theories, while interesting to read, are untrue. So basically, people don't buy the fact that they're only adding bots to help out new players. And I'm one of those people too. It might be one of the things that they wanted to add bots for to kind of make it easier, more casual friendly. They think PUBG is too hard of a game, it's too hardcore at the moment because most of the players that have been playing it for a long time and they're good at the game, or at least they're competent enough that if they come across a brand new player, they're going to wipe the floor with them. But in a game like this, if you start off bad, that's just how it goes. You don't start off by getting a lot of high kill games and, some wins here and there. It's rough going just starting any game fresh, especially if you're 3 years late to the party. Should there be something to help new players along? Sure. But at the same time, that shouldn't take away from the majority of the players that have been dedicated and have been supporting the game through and through for the last 2.5 years. And they know this. In a question later on, they know that that was a mistake. That was a mistake adding the bots to the game without a way to avoid them. So while I don't believe the fact that the only reason they added it is for new players, I can understand that that's part of it and I accept that. I think what they mainly added bots for was Google Stadia and struggling queues. Google Stadia wouldn't have a big enough player base to fill 100 player lobbies consistently. So they had to do something in order to fill those lobbies and actually make the game playable. And like I mentioned before, that's fine. If you want to help struggling queues actually get games and you help Google Stadia actually make the game playable, you have to do that. That's something that's just necessary. But you don't have to necessarily screw over all the other players that have been playing the game perfectly fine for 2.5 years. Another question, are you changing anything? Yes, we're currently looking at 2 balance-related issues, both of which are caused by ratio of humans to bots in off-peak hours to load more bots than we planned. And basically to talk about the settings that they had, which were matching human players to bots, and the lobby sizes for each. And based off of what I can tell, based off of looking at the matches that players have played, because I've only played a handful of matches myself in Season 7, while I know my friend has played more and a couple other YouTubers that I watch have played more. So I've kind of been looking at their games and getting a comparison. How many bots are in each match? How many human players? And I think the minimum amount of bots, unless you're playing on Kark, has been around 20 or 21. And to me, the minimum 20 bots is just too high. And the maximum I've seen in a normal mode, like third-person perspective, squads, or something like that, has been in the 80s. And that's just ridiculous. Even if it's in off-peak hours on North America third-person perspective does not struggle in the slightest bit in getting matches. But it's just mind-boggling at this point and really disappointing. Why didn't you test this on the test system? Some features, in particular matchmaking, are difficult to simulate on the test server. The test server tends to interest only the most dedicated players and as a result doesn't have real-world player populations or the range of skilled players that the production system has. So while that's true, I knew that console probably wasn't going to get a test server version of Update 7.1. I think you need to put this on the live servers as its own mode to test it because you have a bigger player base, you have people that will be interested in it. You can even call it out on the main screen and tell people, hey, there's a new bot mode, please try it so we can gather some data and just some information to make it better. Put it in the arcade, do whatever you have to do, just don't throw it at us and just make us play it without any choice. Why didn't you just add them to training mode? Adding bots solves a few different design problems. After trying a lot of different approaches and different versions of PUBG, we found that training new players using actual and regular game settings with varying degrees of bots mixed in is the best way to level up new players. Now, I disagree. I think the best training that someone new can have is actually just go into Team Deathmatch. While it's not the entire game that you're playing, the hardest thing in PUBG to master is the gun control and the familiarity with those guns. Now, while you don't have to loot, you don't have to run to circle or anything like that, you don't have to drive in Team Deathmatch, the hardest part of the game is right there for you and you have as much practice as you can imagine. And they also mentioned that bots help ensure quick queue times for unpopular modes on off-peak times. In addition, having all queues available lets players try out different styles and experiment to find those ones that they prefer. Now that I agree with, if queue times are struggling and lobbies aren't filling up, if you have to use bots to do so, that's fine because otherwise those just aren't playable modes. And that brings me to the next question. Will there be a way to play without bots? Yes. Bots are aimed at new players or for skilled players looking to practice or take a break from serious play. Our upcoming ranked mode will offer players a competitive environment without any bots. It's just you and other players and a test of skill to rank up. So basically, PUBG, the way that we've had it this whole time. While we dislike making specific promises, it is our intention to have ranked mode out in a patch later this season. So basically, hey guys, in the next 11 weeks or so, we'll give you ranked mode. We don't know exactly when that's going to be, but we're not going to make any promises, so it may be longer than that. Otherwise, just play with these bots because they're okay. That makes no sense. Why was this not delayed? I don't care if you delay patch 7.1, delay the season. They probably didn't want to do that because that's their main source of income is these survivor passes. But why was the patch with the bots not delayed if we don't have a mode to play without them? This is a nightmare. This has to be a terrible thing for the game, just in general, because players are leaving in droves. I no longer want to play the game. I'm not going to play the game unless basically my teammates just want to play it and I want to play something with them and they're stuck on playing PUBG. I'll play it. But until there's a way to play the game without bots, I'm not going to play PUBG. I'm just done. I'm not playing it. I'll play Halo. I'll play a number of single player games that I need to catch up on. I do not want to play the game in this state, mainly because bots are terrible, but also as a form of protest. Like, we on console should not have to wait for a ranked mode. When PC, when they get the bots, they're going to have a ranked mode ready. You should have waited to put the bots in the game to give us a ranked mode. And we don't have to actually play the game with these garbage trash cans of players running all around, ruining the matches. The next question also relates to ranked mode, and listen to this response. Although we would still have had the balancing problems we're seeing today, it would have been ideal to wait until ranked mode was ready. Unfortunately, this wasn't possible for the console, because testing on ranked mode was not completed. On PC, the current plan is to launch them at the same time. So why didn't we wait? Just like PC. PC got update 7.1 without ranked mode, without bots, and they're going to get it at the same time at a later date. Why was console not afforded that same luxury? And I think I know why. It's because you wanted us to be the playtesters for you. You wanted to see how it was going to work on console and see the reaction from the players and get that feedback so that you don't majorly screw up something on PC. This is the only reason that I can think of that makes sense. They openly admit that it would have been ideal to wait until ranked mode was ready, but there was just no way to do it for the console version of the game. Delay the patch, delay the update, just give us something to where we don't have to play the bots if we don't want to. We can check it on or off as an option. Anything, even if ranked mode wasn't ready and the MMR and all that wasn't ready to actually pair people up against each other. Who cares? Just give us the game like we had before, where we don't have to play with bots if we don't want to. I'm sure there's plenty of people that will play with bots just so they can get some kills. For the majority of PUBG players, it seems like the vast majority of console PUBG players, this has not been a great experience. It's been crap, and it's driving people away from the game. They don't want to play it. I got more comments on my last video than I have in a long time, and it's mostly made up of people that are just fed up and they're tired of it. And a ton of them are saying the exact same thing as me. They're not going to play the game anymore until there's a way to play without bots. And I like how they throw in that first part. We would have still had all this balancing problems with the bots, but it wouldn't have mattered because you could just play a different mode without the damn bots. So who cares? If the bots are screwed up, then that's the problem of the people playing with the bots, and that can be addressed and changed over time. And it's not a big deal because that's not the actual game. That's not PUBG that we've known and loved for the last 2.5 years. Who gives a shit if the bots are unbalanced and they need to be adjusted, as long as there's a way to play the game without them. And the last question basically just talks more about the different experiences that bots can allow and the fact that we'll have a ranked mode sometime later this season. But just looking at the rating scale on the forums, it's pretty bad too. So even on the rating system on the forum post, this is shaping up to be a joke. And I pretty much agree with those ratings. I think that this response is a bit of a joke. Basically, it's just admitting the fact that we shouldn't have included bots without some kind of other mode to play, and then they made some excuses as to why they didn't have that. But unfortunately, that's just not good enough. And you might just think that I'm just some negative person, just loudmouth on the internet, bashing the game just because it's fun to bash things and it's fun to be negative. But that's really the opposite. I enjoy being positive. I've covered this game extensively for the last 2.5 years, and I've been overwhelmingly positive when I could easily have been negative in most cases. But a ton of decisions lately have been terrible by the company in my opinion, and I'm going to call them out. I'm not going to sugarcoat things because I've played the game for a long time. I love the game, but at the same time, I'm not going to just not talk about the negative things. This is awful, and the devs need to know about it, and most of the players agree with me. There's a few that think I'm just being negative and I shouldn't even talk or whatever. Who cares what this guy thinks? I don't care if you care what I'm thinking. I am putting out my opinions so that they can hear it if they want to. If they don't want to hear it, that's fine anyway because they probably won't listen to it. But either way, that's enough ranting from me. I just wanted to go through those questions, give my opinions on their responses, kind of a rebuttal, if you will, because I think they are well on their way to killing this game on console. And if something like this happened on PC, I just can't imagine what the backlash would have been like. So it's a good thing that they decided that we were the guinea pigs this time, and we are going to test this out, forced to test it out on the live servers without any option to turn it off. But like I said in the beginning, if you end up finding this useful, definitely give the video a like and subscribe to stay up to date on everything that I publish. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter at YTBoris15, where I share a lot of these different opinions as well. I can't make videos every single day, so if you want to see what I'm thinking about different decisions in gaming, make sure to give me a follow over on Twitter. As always, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm sure it's going to be crazy down there. Just try and be nice to one another. If you want to talk bad about the game or bad about the decisions, that's fine. Just don't go off on each other because that's not really getting us anywhere. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Until next time, I'll see you later.